3 for me is everything. It's a new life for me. I quit school and I'm gonna leave home soon. Pursue this as my career for the next couple of years, hopefully. I was kind of bummed out that I couldn't play from the start, but this is how it is. I needed to be 17 years old first.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Week here at LCS Europe. I'm joined, of course, by Jason Kaplan and the lovely Aranea. So we just saw a great performance from, I'd say, from both teams. To be honest with you, Giants certainly had a good time of things there as well. Unfortunately for them, losing out in the end. But as usual, on the team setting up here on stage, so we got a little bit of time to kind of chill out and get things going. How's it for you, Aranea? I mean, that game there, Giants obviously losing out, but how much of a promising sign was that from their side? I mean, will they be happy even though they I mean, you're never happy if you lose, let's be honest, but they're going to take positives away from that game.
Well, I went upstairs now, and I've been talking with Samus, and he was like, yeah, my team let me play Garen, so I'm going to play Garen because he's OP. So he's kind of happy still. Even they lose, he's playing Garen, so it's always happy to play that spin guy.
I don't know what to say to that. I mean, yeah, you get to play Garen. He's like, woohoo, finally. I want to play him even though they lost. But yeah, I mean, overall they played very good. I was really pretty much happy. I mean, they've shown that they've grown together as a team as the weeks have gone by. But, you know, to change subjects a little bit, Wolves. We just heard Bjergsen. He's planning on making this his career for a couple of years. Talk to us about the Wolves. Talk to us about his decision and him as a player.
Well, Bjergsen is, for me, he was one of the best mid laners in Europe some months ago. Then he had to be replaced by Kotard, and he stopped playing like pre-made, and he probably doesn't improve that much at that time, while the other people were training so hard for this. So that's probably something bad for him, but still he's a really good player. He's a really young guy. He's 17, just like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Yeah. And I don't know. I just want to see Copenhagen Wolves winning.
I think we all do.
It's hard, but let's see.
I mean, they're going to win at some point, aren't they?
I hope so.
I think mathematically they have to.
The chances are Wolves will win a game. But obviously they are going to be our next game here today. This probably isn't going to be the game that they're going to win. They're going up against EG in this next one, which it's always going to be hard. It doesn't matter which team you are. If you play in EG, it's going to be a hard game.
It's going to be a hard game. Like, I think someone was saying here in the casting that it's going to be a 1 hour game or maybe 2 hour game. But yeah, it's going to be always, it's always really hard to play against EG. Even that you pretty much know before the game how EG going to play, how EG plays. You always know it because they are so predictable. But at the end, even being predictable, they are the best at the standard.
So what's the counter? I mean, if you could tell me that, I suppose you'd have beat them a few times already, right?
Probably like disconnect Froggen PC or something like that will be a good counter. Out of that, it's hard. Like, Froggen is the main star of that team. And even now, I think months ago, everyone was saying, like, let's focus on Wicked. Let's just, like, camp Wicked, destroy Wicked. And with that, it's going to be, like, easy game, or at least, like, more easy than everyone could expect. But right now, I think Wicked has the highest KDA in that team.
Do you think the metagame helps him out in that, in terms of health stacking is a big thing and gives you naturally more survivability there?
Yeah, probably. But it's not only about that. I think he's becoming better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's having something he lacked before. It's map awareness.
Actually, yeah, I did an interview with him a long time ago, and he said he always has the mindset of just pretend the jungler's not there at all times and play that way.
He said pretty much like every day on the Skype, he's saying something like, if you want to win a top lane, you have to play as if it was a 1v1. No jungle. There's no jungle present. So just play 1v1.
What about his champion pool, though? I mean, we saw him last season. He was playing pretty much the same 3 champions over and over again. We're starting to see him expand. He even played some Macaulay, did a darn good job on her. What do you think about that?
I have to say that I'm expecting or waiting for a Rumble pick for Weekend. It was like every time Rumble pick, first blooded or second blooded. It was like always he start 0-3, 0-4 with Rumble. It was really epic. But now it's true that now his champion pool is a bit bigger. And probably we're going to have a surprise this weekend as well with some kind of a strange Wicked champions. I really expect that.
So we're going to have a look at some of the Twitter answers. Of course, we asked at the beginning of the show, what do you expect expect from Super Week? Which, to be honest, is a really open question, and as such, we've got some really open answers for that one. The first one here, and I'll apologize right at the start for all your names that I'm probably going to butcher as I go through. So from Azzy Haya, I'm expecting to see the Europeans pull out some of those next level strats that, in quotation marks, Americans haven't caught on to. I think he should have wrote "yet" at the end of that, actually, but what do you think to that one? I mean, is Europe ahead in terms of pulling out these surprise strategies?
I'm not really sure. I mean, the problem of American, they stick with some strats over and over. If you see American games, sometimes it's a bit boring because, you know, like, they're going to do a sub lane. They're going to get, like, first tower, always, like, minute 4, minute 5 with the jungler. They sometimes, like, keep pushing the next tower, and it's a bit boring to watch that. Did you also know that they're going to try to first pick Taric, that in Europe we never picked Taric, and they tried that Taric-Jarvan combo, and something interesting is like they have some kind of picks, they bring in some kind of new picks like Syndra, like, and now Terath. Like, no one played Terath before this week, and this week everyone is playing Terath. So it's like only one guy, I think it was Reginald, who said on solo queue in American Ladder, there is a challenger guy only playing Terath, like 24/7 Terath, and he's like destroying everyone in mid lane. And they think like, wow, if this guy can destroy everyone in mid lane with Terath, why no one in competitive gaming play him? And they start to play like CLDNA, well, CLD right now, and DSM, they play in Terath now, and it's something interesting to watch.
Is it really subjective when we talk about the meta? And, you know, we say in Europe that, you know, the Americans are not doing something that CLG had figured out a year ago, not quite a year ago up until now, but is it just kind of subjective in the way that the metas are just completely different because they don't really, the two regions don't mix with each other? I mean, who's to say now that what the Americans playing wouldn't be able to beat the Europeans?
Well, I think right now, like, European are bringing some kind of new meta games, and American is stuck on one kind of like tanky meta game, not really improving that meta game. And I really like European, like, not only picks, also like game style, gameplay. It's really different from NA. Like, every game is different. In NA, it's constant, like a same kind of meta game.
And to me, it kind of seems like it all evolves the same way. So, you know, Europe played this, you know, very early aggression, get turrets, very early kind of thing, and then they figure out the counter to that, and then there was the counter to the next strategy. It just kind of keeps, you know, snowballing over and over, and it seems like North America's in that same boat where they just started moving to this strategy, and now the counter to that is finally coming back out. So it just seems like it's kind of, I guess snowballing a little bit. But we do have another Twitter answer, and I have to apologize as well. I don't even know if I can say this one. You did a very good job on yours, Joe.
To noise.
Yes, that one. He says, hopefully we'll see some more of Scumbag Crepo playing that Thresh 2v1 bot lane. And we did see Thresh bot lane earlier with Edward.
And he did it 1v2.
Yeah.
He did it already. He was like against Varus and against Leona, was?
Yes.
It was Varus and Leona, and he killed Varus alone, and he was going to Leona and then the Wild Bolivia pair to get the kill. It was actually 1v2. And that was really impressive. I think it was like my favorite game of that game.
So what do you think to Thresh? Is he the OP support right now?
I think he's fine. He's not that OP. You can do some kind of today is really cool, but not OP. I would say there are a lot of good supports right now. Even like we saw Leona first picking by Fnatic, and Sona by Giant. So it's not like Thresh is the most OP support. He's good.
Where do you put Thresh in terms of supports? I mean, you've got, I'd say probably two really different categories of support. Someone like Leona, who's all in there, that aggressive, and if you fall behind with that kind of support, you can have a tough time of actually winning that one back. Where does Thresh fit in between the whole aggressive to defensive kind of timeline?
Well, I think like in bottom lane there are some kind of supports, not only two. There are like the passive supports like Soraka, for example. There are the more like go-in supports like Taric, like Leona, like Thresh. For me, Thresh is like go-in support, and there are another poke-in supports like Lulu, Sona, and maybe Syra as well. Range poke, but in terms of that, is like a go-in support. Like you get him with your grab, and then you go in full on him, and it's a lot of damage.
And, you know, we mentioned earlier, we were talking about Thresh in terms of, like, the junglers that he can bring in. Because that Lantern's so strong, he seems like the only support that fills that niche. And do you think we're going to, you know, Oh, do you think that's kind of a niche that should be filled? Because, I mean, you bring in all these new junglers like Nexus who came out of nowhere. Volibear was, played before Thresh was available, obviously. But do you think that's kind of like a little bit of an interesting thing? And I think it's kind of balanced?
Yeah, I think it is. It's hard. It's not like really easy to pull the lantern and get someone and get that gank. Also, it's really like dangerous because you are full going, and if you have like a teleport from any in the back, you're probably gonna die all of them because you're already going. You have no escapable with Thresh, so it's really risky. But still, I think it's really fine. But we didn't see so many tricks with him. As I said, like something like Fiddlestick was really funny.
Yeah.
Also, like Jarvan, you can be like so far away, and then Jarvan get it, EQ and ultimate, and someone he's gonna grab always someone.
You could even have, I believe we saw one time in North America, Leona jungle. And that would be kind of a little bit interesting. A lot of gap closers right there.
He played twice or three times already in Tendux, and it was really cool. But still, Leona jungle has a problem. He's not enough fast against some junglers. If you play against a really slow jungle, it's fine. But against like a really fast, clear jungler, it's gonna fall a bit behind.
So next question then coming from Tapia's Dietrich, Muna191. I think EG is going 5-0 this weekend and claiming back the lead.
I will say, I don't know if, are they playing against Fnatic this weekend?
They play against Gambit today.
Yeah, today their games are first of all versus Wolves, and the second game today is versus Gambit. Obviously, we have a lot of games this weekend coming up, so they are going to be playing, well, 5 games. That's all the teams.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Obviously, missing 2 more.
I think they are,
pretty much.
I think they are not playing against Fnatic.
They are playing Fnatic, I think, somewhere along the line. I've got the list up here, and as I said, we've got 20 games this weekend, so...
Well, Demon is saying they're playing, so I guess they are playing against Fnatic. If they are playing against Fnatic, I don't really think they could go 5-0, because right now Fnatic is looking really strong.
Yeah, and they're looking to get their revenge too, because EG played SK, lost to them, and then just smashed them the next game. And then EG had a tough time against Fnatic last week, and well, maybe they'll get the revenge out. We'll guess we'll have to find out as time goes on. We also have another Twitter response, and oh, this one's easy. Yes, I can do this one. Matt Vaughn, 86. I didn't mess it up. Yay. Fnatic to rule supreme again at the EU LCS. Expect PekK to ruin some people's day with Katarina, and we did see him just destroy people with Katarina. I actually destroyed EG with it.
Yeah, I think like many people, I always said the same about PekK. People is saying like PekK is the best Katarina in the world, or PekK is the best something in the world, and I don't really think so. I think just PekK overall is a great player, and he's playing with that teleport flash so good. He knows exactly when to like teleport or move to any lane, like gank a lane, and take some kills from it. He's just overall a really, really good player. For me, I will say one of the best mid laners in the world.
I think even Broken Shore said that there's good players, or there's consistent players, and there's clutch players, and Expect is consistently a clutch player. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I will agree.
I mean, we saw at Katowice just how clutch he truly can be.
But I think like there are some kind of players that stick on some champions. There are players that they are only great players with some kind of champions. We saw in the past. And PekK, I think he plays pretty much everything. We even saw like Kayle mid lane. Let's see what he's going to show now. He's a brilliant player. PekK.
Is that the danger of facing someone like PekK who, as you said, do you have some mid-lane champions who can really only play the AP champions or really prefer those bruiser champions? But when you look at PekK, it's like, well, he can play the bruisers, he can play your full-on APs, he can play your ranged ADs. Like, he's got such a versatile pool that, has he got a counter for everything, technically?
Pretty much. I mean, for example, like in my team in Alternate, we have Fallen Lord, and we know like Fallen Lord, if he gets his probably like main champions, his 3 main champions, he's gonna win the lane for sure. Like no matter what, he wanna win the game, and pretty much not the game, but he will carry so hard with that champions. But with PekK, I remember PekK was playing top lane with Fnatic when Tuesday was playing mid lane.
Yeah.
So he trained like Jax, he trained Irelia, he trained all kind of bruisers. He came with us, with the all Wizards. We went to Korea, and he was playing with us 80s. He was playing Argot, he was playing MF, he was playing Sivir. So he pretty much play everything in his entire career. So yeah, he's gonna counter pretty much whatever is gonna face him.
So let's have a look at the final question there. That's from Boris Stojkovic, and he says, I expect Gambit to win all games. So we've heard EG winning all games, Fnatic to rule supreme, and Boris Stojkovic says, I expect Gambit to win all games and show why they are the best players in the world.
As we said already, like Gambit are the best analyzing a team and then countering that team. For me, they are the best on that role. Probably if they came with something new against Gambit, you're gonna beat them once, not twice. Like once is fine, not twice. You're never gonna beat Gambit with the same as a day twice. That's the main power of Gambit.
I feel like we're in a donkey video. It's like, yeah, Gambit's the best right now, and then someone beats Gambit, like, yeah, that team's the best right now, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much the same. Like in NA is happening the same. Like some weeks ago, they were saying, "Oh, Curse is gonna win them all. He's gonna win like the season by 0 losers." And now everyone is like, "Oh, Dignitas is the best. Dignitas is gonna win everything." It's pretty much what happened every time.
I think that hype's good, though, because it gets a team like fired up. It gets the fans, switching around instead of just being focused on, well, at least North America, CLG, and TSM. I think it's actually good overall.
Well, as player, I think it's funny because sometimes like you do a good game and he's like, "Oh, this guy is so good," and then you do a bad game and he's like, "This guy is the worst player."
Why isn't he even on the team?
And it's the same people a lot of the time that do that as well. They're right one day you're the best, and the same day,
and the same casters.
And the same casters.
Over there.
No, not mentioning any names. Demon. So, our next game, let's talk a little bit about that one. Obviously, EG taking on Copenhagen Wolves. We touched on it a little bit earlier on. Wolves, without a win. EG doing really well right now, going to be looking to extend that good run of form that they've had here. What are the chances, if we talk percentage-wise, for Copenhagen Wolves to pull off an upset?
Chances are low, I guess. Really low percentage because EG
That's not a number.
I will say 20%. It's fine for
20%.
you.
20%. That's
20% is fine. I mean, they depend so much on the early game. We know EG late game. It's gonna be. I think Jerson gonna have a main role in that early game. Probably like taking teleport, trying to roam so much, like not playing against Froggen. Even that. I don't think he can win Froggen, but still, you have to take that outside of your lane and try to gank all the lanes and try to help all the lanes. And that's probably going to be the key of Copenhagen Wolves to win against CG.
Well, we did see these two teams play back in DreamHack Winter 2012, and the Wolves gave them a tough time. They definitely kept them on their toes. And you think the Wolves are still that strong of a team? Because obviously they weren't running with Deficio as a support. It was EXO Winter back then. But they also had more time to practice since Bjergsen finally came back into the team.
That's a problem. Like in DreamHack, they were training so much for that tournament. They were training like every day against all the teams. But now they stopped training with Jerson and they start training with Courtard. And that's something lacks now on team play for them. But still, I think that game, that EG against Copenhagen Wolves, was one of the most epic Lux games I've seen. It was like Lux sniping everyone.
There's a highlight video made of that, I believe, out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's like 3 minutes of just Lux ultimates of Froggen just killing everyone. Even I think it was one EQ that he had no vision. On one E ultimate, he had no vision, and he just like one-shot someone.
Just did it. Just was like, okay, I'm just going to fire there, see what... Oh, look at that, all three landing perfectly. So before we drop over to the casters, let's talk about the bans and the picks. Just what do you ban against EG? Because Froggen in the middle, Anivia is the first one that comes to mind. We know that Lux is so strong. Wicked, back in the day, he never got to play his favourite Aurelia because everyone would ban that out against him. Obviously, Aurelia not that popular right now, although we just saw Kevin wrecking faces with it earlier on in the day. But Wicked, because he's expanded that champion pool, where do you put your bans now in EG?
Well, you have to think about the Wicked Sen is really strong. Wicked Renekton is really strong as well, and some kind of surprise by Wicked. I will say he has some kind of tricky champion in top lane. It's really funny. Something I had in my past against Froggen was like, I was always thinking about let him play Anivia and let's just deny the blue buffs. But the first time I played against Froggen and Anivia, after that game I said no, let's ban Anivia. It's really annoying, that guy. Just perfect position every team fight. He knows exactly what to do with that champion. He's I don't know. It's just unbelievable how good can he play with one champion. And after that game, I said like, let's ban Anivia. But they can maybe like let an EV out, just deny the blue buffs and try to pull a good early game. But also like in the bottom lane, you have to have in mind that Crepo is going to play Thresh. He's playing a lot of Thresh. And also, I think Kelopete is playing a lot of Varus as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something hard for them. And from Copenhagen Wolves, I think we saw Goodbro playing a lot of Shinj in top lane. We saw Jerson playing pretty much everything on mid lane. I think
He played
a lot of
Syndra, played Elise, I believe, as well.
Elise,
Lux.
Lux, Syndra. And in jungle, he played a lot of Togeth. And now he's playing Bai, Svenskeren a lot. And bottom lane, they played, I think, Caitlyn Ludo a lot. It's like the main bottom lane. So it's not going to be that interesting, the EG bans. I want to really see the Copenhagen Wolves ban. It's going to be interesting to see them.
Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us here on the analysis desk. And, of course, we're going to go over now to our casters for this game. It's going to be EG versus the Copenhagen Wolves with Demon and Quickshot.
Thank you very much, Joe. And I think it's a bit harsh to call Crepo trash, but... Oh, sorry, it was Thresh, wasn't it? It was Thresh.
Low blow, low blow. Shots fired, shots fired.
Gotta get in here early. I'm on the analyst desk shortly. So, well, the clear favourites for this game are good, of course. Evo Geniuses with a 5-2 record and a win already recorded over the Copenhagen Wolves. Looking at the teams, you can see they've had a roster change as well. And it is going to be... Evo Geniuses, though, are starting out as the blue side. Blue side, we've talked about so many times, they have an advantage. I don't know. It seems to be working so far. It is going to be Wicked, Snoopy, Froggen, Yellow Pete, and Trashy Crepo.
Trashy Crepo. And, of course, for the Copenhagen Wolves, it is Godbro, Svenskeren. Bjergsen is back in the middle for the second week running, the Tess, and, of course, Deficio. So, Bjergsen back in there. Aranea touched on it earlier, saying that, you know, now the Wolves have actually had some time to practice with their full lineup. Bjergsen's in, you know, full training, hardcore mode, and we'll see whether or not it's going to help them out.
Yes, well, as you do recall, we do have Wicked in the team. He's been coined as Bricked as in a couple of games, because when he played Renekton, when he played Shen, he's just been unstoppable.
And you have to mention Akali. He pulled Akali out, I think it was the very first game that they played of the LCS in week 1 against the Copenhagen Wolves. Same matchup where Snoopy played Kayle.
Kayle, yep.
Blew everybody's minds, just non-stop aggression, and those interventions onto Wicked's Akali were key. So I think Evil Geniuses are going to remember that and have to keep that in mind for this matchup.
Yeah, and of course, the question is, will we see anything different from Snoopy? I mean, I kind of spoke to him in the week. It's like, oh, you know, Maokai, Kayle, are we going to see something new? You've been playing a lot of volleyball. It's like, no, not really. But of course, for the Copenhagen Wolves, the pressure is on them. And really, you know, at 0-8 position, it's so hard to go into the first game of the Super Weekend against Evil Geniuses. But Godbro, well, he's up against Wicked. How is he going to stand?
It's the question that's going to stay. You know, Godbro is played well. Every single member of the Copenhagen Wolves has done relatively well in their early stages of the matchup, and they've done very well in their lanes. The reason we've highlighted Godbro here is he needs to put pressure on Wicked. Wicked's you know, carry play, his Bricked play, has been such a turning point in all these mid-game team fights that Godbro, the pressure's on him to try and shut Wicked down.
Well, of course, I mean, the difference is, of course, the fact that they are all now speaking Danish. Copenhagen Wolves, will it be a big thing? We're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen, because we did manage to catch a word with the guys earlier on.
I think against Wolves, our key will be to beat them into team fights and play smarter than them. Don't fall too far behind in laning phase and don't get Snowball.
We need to shut down Froggen in mid. He's the strongest player on EG.
We've been scrimming them a lot in the last week. And I was actually laning more against that jungler than against the mid laner.
I think EG is actually going to be one of the closest matches for us of like the top teams. And I personally really look forward to it.
So they're looking forward to the matchup, and you know, they talked about the fact they do need to lock down Frog, and it's what they talked about on the analysis desk, and it's kind of what everybody tries to do, but it doesn't work.
The problem is that the theory behind that is that if Froggen's the one that you lock down, you can win. And yeah, it's going to help you win, don't get me wrong, but then you've got to lock down Snoopy and Wicked and Yellow Pete and Crepo. You know, every single one of those players has the ability to turn team fights and make the right calls. And when we had Crepo on the desk earlier, he was saying, you know, nowadays they don't even make calls. Nowadays it's just, hey, there's something moving middle. They just naturally gravitate towards the objectives. They're just on the same wavelength as a team. They look of focus as well.
They do look very focused. Evo Geniuses, they are, of course, into the picks and bans, and you can see them on their screens. It is going to be Elise and Anivia being banned out to start with. No surprise there, Anivia being removed, but Syndra taken away. Of course, Bjergsen played that in his very first game here in the LCS. Thresh being removed. They've been watching highlight videos. They obviously don't want to see Krepo doing that. And Kale taken out by Evo Geniuses. They've seen too much of that today.
Yeah, Kale, we've seen, you know, it's such a high priority champion. It's one of the most picked, and for obvious reasons. We've seen Snoopy actually running Kale time and time again, and you mentioned it as well, that Snoopy was saying, well, it's going to be Maokai or Kale, Maokai or Kale, so
it's going to be Maokai.
Yeah, I'm thinking, now, what do they do as a first pick? And very, very interestingly, 2 support bans here. So Sona and Thresh is removed from the pool. Krepo has only been playing Lulu and Sona up till this point, but first pick Vi, and we know we've been seeing Snoopy running that as well, actually.
Could it be Snoopy changing up his junglers? It is going to be Shinzao immediately countering it, so Shinzao in the jungle. We're expecting Svenskeren to be running that. Could be top lane, but I doubt it.
Well, this is something that was brought up a lot last night and the night before last in terms of the junglers in the NA scene. And, you know, the sort of the holy trinity of junglers there is Zinzao, Joven 4, and Vi. They're like the hotly contested picks. I know for a fact that about a week ago, Snoopy was running a lot of Vi on his stream over and over and over. But we've also seen Vi in the middle lane, and, you know, if there's any team that is willing to try innovating something, it could easily go for Froggen as well, if they decide to do that. So, it's not a clear pick, but if anybody has been scrimming them or watching their matches, then maybe...
well, we've seen, obviously, Shushe playing Vi in the mid quite a few times, so it is entirely a possibility, but may well be in the jungle. As it is looking like Renekton and Shinzao are going to get locked in. We'll see. Nigodbro will be taking Renekton in that top lane, so taking away the Brickhead. Yeah, will they give him Shen?
Denying it. It's going to be interesting as well, because the 2 players have got relatively similar champion pools in that they've both played Renekton, they've both played Shen. You know, they've got those numbers under their belt. With Lux being locked in, it's going to be the Froggen Lux, which so many people are excited about. And
Yellow Pete Varus.
That was the other one. The only time he has not played either Varus or Caitlyn was when he played Ezreal against Fnatic last week, and was almost, I use the word very loosely, baited into the pick because of the Blitzcrank and the Leona, you know. The thought process that I can arcane shift one of them.
I remember seeing the tweet from Froggen saying, you know, practice Varus all week, play Ezreal when it counts. They just didn't understand it, so they are making sure they get that Varus in there, which is why it was their second pick. Down to Bjergsen and the test. Now the test there on your screen. What will he choose? He's been going a lot of Ezreal. Kind of expect to see that.
He's also played quite a lot of Caitlyn as well, so I'm taking a look at the fact that, you know, Lux has got very good range, Varus has got very good range. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Caitlyn pick here, allow himself to stay a little bit further back, a little bit safer. Ezreal is there as well. Arcane Shift can get yourself away from some of the abilities, and that also might help against the dives from Vi. So either of them are possible. You can see there is the test on screen, chatting, nodding away, and it's going to be the Taric Ezreal bottom lane.
Well, that immediately... Could we see the counter? Talking to Krepo just last night when we were watching the LCS for North America, talking about the first pick Tarics that have been coming out, and he listed off about 3 different hard counters to Taric. He said if they go Taric, it's so easy to counter. Let's see what they do go with, though.
What's the secret, Lee? Come on.
No, I don't want to give him away, because he had 3 listed out that actually he uses, but I don't want to give too many secrets away for these guys.
Up until today, you know, Krepo's been playing a huge amount of Lulu or Sona. Those have been his 2 go-to picks. In the games, they've played 4 Sonas, 3 Lulus, and the combination of Lulu Varus they've been doing again over and over and over a number of times. So the possibilities there, but what Geniuses, they're thinking, they're talking. You can see Krepo look of concentration.
To me, and there it is,
Alistair.
That's the one he was telling me about to counter it pretty easily, because I was talking about, hey, well, this Taric and Alistair. He said, well, the first pick Taric, you're going to go Alistair because he hard counters Taric. So the question is, will they allow it for a duo lane, or will they go 2v1?
Well, it's something that we've seen time and time again out of Wicked, especially with Shen. If they decide to go for the 2v1, I think it might play into their favor, because Renekton versus Shen, you know, it is a bit of a skill matchup, but in the early levels, Renekton's damage, his sustain is slightly superior to that of Shen. He needs a couple of levels to get his feint up and the Vorpal Sword, etc. Casterden has been locked in for Bjergsen, and that's probably going to be the hard counter to Lux, so to speak. Get the Null Sphere out, silence her, and if the laser's coming in, just Rift Walk to safety.
Yeah, we did see some crazy lasers, of course, from Vulcan last night. Didn't manage to work out for them, but I feel in Froggen's hands, I'm not discrediting Mandatory Cloud, ladies and gentlemen, because he was pretty impressive. But in Froggen's hands, he knows how to handle that.
Yeah, it's also, you know, the fact that Lux was picked after the Renekton and the Xin. The ability to lock those, engagements up as they start coming in. You've got the engagement and the disengage power and potential. And you've got these, sort of dive-heavy comps. You've got the backline of Taric Ezreal, the backline of Alistar Varus, and then you've got Shen and Vi. They're just going to want to dive in, assault and battery, put the Shen, ultimate on, dive in there as a two-man team. And Renekton and Xin are going to be trying to do the very same thing.
Well, you've got, of course, got that Stun United, so we're expecting to see the split push. Shock horror, ladies and gentlemen. And how are we seeing it overall? Team comps, what are we thinking? Because, like you mentioned, Vi could go in, you could get Stun United as she goes too deep, because that was kind of what we were seeing with Shusha when he went in with Vi, got the assault and battery, went very deep, and just got singled out by the team.
I think overall, you've got a good mixture from both teams here. The initiation and counter-initiation from both Evil Geniuses and Copenhagen Wolves is there, but I think EG have taken it just a step further. If you look at every single one of their champions, they have CC, taunt from Shen, knock back or knock down with that ultimate from Vi, Lux Snare, you've got a Snare from Varus, you've got the Headbutt, the Pulverize. So I think overall in terms of the crowd control and the utility in team fights, Evil Geniuses have the lead here. But I do feel like there's just that little bit more damage-centric focus around the Wolves with Renekton, Xin, Kassadin, and Ezreal. Shen not exactly renowned for the amount of DPS he puts down, in a very quick amount of time.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have got underway. It is the fourth game of the day, and near the fourth to come after this. It is going to be the Evil Geniuses in the blue team on your screens with Froggen and Krepo there. Croppen. It's a bit of a mix between the two. Krepo on Alistar. And they're going to be against the Copenhagen Wolves.
Weren't they duo queuing the Annie Brand combo?
They have been duo queuing for a lot.
That's the official title for the Croppen duo queue right now.
Well, Froggen going straight in towards that mid lane and laughing, which is the Lux laugh, and it's definitely it's each to their own, I think, with the Lux.
And complete vision control here. Take a look at Wicked's position up near the top. So if anyone comes to that tri-brush, which we talked about, the fact that very few teams ward there, you've got Shen as a living ward. They've got the blue buff entrance warded up, so they'll know if anybody's moving in there. And they're, again, playing human wards in the two entrances down by the red side of their jungle. Defensive start from EG, a little different to what we're seeing out of them. They have been going quite aggressive, getting those pink wards down in and around the Wraith grass or Wraith bushes. But you can just see EG saying, well, let's play some mind games. Let's not repeat the same process we've been doing the entire time.
Yeah, and you heard the Krepo last week, he was talking about the fact that, obviously when they played SK Gaming in the Season 2 regionals, of how they got countered. They were playing Smiteless Blue all the time, which is why Aranea was able to just walk straight in and go, thank you very much, Smite, and walk away again. So they realized they had to switch it up, and it's what they've done. We're seeing the Wraith start out from Snoopy, and we're also seeing the duo lane taking the Golems. Are we seeing any switches? Doesn't look like it from Wolves. We are seeing the Wolves being picked up by the Wolves.
The Wolves are taking the Wolves. Would this count as a team kill? If Jason Kaplan was here, I'm sure he would have thrown that one out there. Snoopy now moving over to the red buff, going to get some assistance from Krepo, who's dropped actually very, very low from that double golem start. But Varus, and actually took both of the creeps as well. Interestingly, if you take a look at Krepo, he picked up both of those double golems. So the experience was shared, but he got the gold.
Well, we are keeping the animal farm going here. We've had a bear, we've had the horse, and now we have a cow. So we're keeping things going. And a crocodile.
And a crocodile.
Or is it an alligator?
No,
we still never quite managed to pin this one out.
There was another type that was in there, which Joe mentioned. I can't remember the name of it right now, but something I'm looking at that we haven't touched on. Froggen, Flash Ignite. He's going to go very kill heavy for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Bjergsen, on the other hand, Flash Teleport. So he wants to play that team game and wants to have those ganks. And I'm just remembering pressure that actually PekK did when he was playing Kassadin a couple months back. Would go in for like a lane gank up top, put some damage down, teleport bottom, and instantly pick up some kills that way.
Well, what's the point? Let's talk about this bottom lane, because we can see it on our screen right here. Deficio on Taric did go with that, and immediately Krepo said, the counter to this is Alistar. Easy counter. Talk about why exactly, because obviously, he's only really got that dazzle, but there's double crowd control for Krepo. He can just, as soon as that dazzle comes down, he is going to punish someone.
Yeah, exactly, Krepo, and Deficio bashing back and forth. Svenskera's going to come in.
Well, there is the dazzle going down. He immediately pulverizes, flashes away. It's not going to be enough, though, and he's going to go down. First blood, Svenskeren.
Well played to Svenskeren. This is something we haven't seen out of him over the last few weeks. That very, very, very early aggression. A 3-minute first blood. The stun, the knock-up was more than enough to get the damage down. And you mentioned exactly that. Taric, he's got the dazzle, his ability to stun once. Krep was going to have the ability to knock back and knock up, so double the amount of CC. In addition, his heal is slightly more effective in terms of overall healing. It's very, very expensive, and man, as Bjergsen has been caught.
Yeah, well, this is simply a case of Froggen using the mechanics of the game in the current map. You are off the side there, and you're technically out of vision. Obviously, we can see it here on the spec mode, but as it was, he's using the minions to show Bjergsen, immediately catching him out of vision and just catching him, putting the damage down. We've seen it. I mean, I hate to say exploited, but it's being used a lot currently by the players, which is where the Xerath, like you were saying, that's how Xerath has been really strong.
We were watching the play on, I think it was Thursday night, of Xerath in the mid lane. He unloaded his ultimate, got 2 charges down before the players even were able to, enemy players were able to react, because they were just losing health, and it looks like the test is in trouble.
They're going to see Snoopy coming diving in towards the test. Dazzle put down by Deficio, and a failed counter there. We also had a 4-man push there, actually, because we did have Froggen coming down and the pings coming down, so EG clearly wanted a 4-man stack on that bottom turret, pick up the kills and go aggressive on it. So switching things up instead of just having the 2v1 lanes. It
was a good pick for the, for Ezreal, just to be able to arcane shift away from these low-level ganks, and just get back to safety. Wicked and Godbro trading back and forth with the help of a turret hit. Wicked's going to come out, relatively even. But I'm excited to see how Krepo plays Alistar. Muff and QT had some amazing performances with the headbutts and knockbacks, and Svenskeren, he wants more blood.
Well, we have seen Froggen a few times using that corner of the bushes to try and catch out of position as it is. He's just poking back and forward on Bjergsen and not being too aggressive. He has got flash available. Svenskeren has been there a while, and he's obviously burning experience there, and he buys time for Bjergsen to just go up and put that null sphere in his face.
Yeah, so eventually, Svenskeren is just going to back away. Bjergsen's actually doing very well in these early levels, 26 CS to 30. It's so difficult to keep up with a ranged champion when you're sitting there in the middle. So he's doing very well. Froggen's taking quite a lot of damage from those null spheres, and just that crystalline flask. I mean, Kobe said it months ago, and it's just such a good, comment that they're just heavy drinkers now on the Rift.
Well, and they did change it around. The picks were obviously changed. Sorry, not the picks. The itemization was changed around, but it is something he's had to switch around and gone with those health pots instead. But they are still heavy drinkers on the Rift, and you can see just basically across the board, there's so many health flasks starting off. It seems to be like the new default item, and AD carries, obviously, because the maneuverability changes in the jungle, everybody goes Doran's Blade tends to start again.
Yeah, Doran's
so it's like going back to season 1 all over again.
Doran's a longsword. You're going back to our roots. We see Wicked's been collapsed on.
Well, he's being collapsed on, but I don't think they've got enough shadow dashes away. Well, you can see Svenskeren did go into the turret, but immediately puts a hit down, but yeah, Wicked just shadow dashing out of danger.
And that shadow dash is so powerful. 50% reduced damage at these low levels without those DPS items. Even with Svenskeren's, 3 talent being activated, it mitigates so much of it. And of course, being melee, the distance he gains allowed him to get to safety. And at the moment, this bottom lane, we were talking about it a little while ago, and then all the action happened. I actually think it's going to be quite a boring lane because of the ability to lock up your opponents. Once, Krepo and Yellowpea get to level 6, they can combo the Headbutt Pulverize with the Chain of Corruption. And I think then they might have the ability to catch somebody. But, until then, I don't really see either one of them being able to completely stomp one another without the help of a gank.
Are you, perchance, trying to suggest that EG are going to farm for a long period of time?
It's a bit unheard of, but I'm going to go out on a limb and make that prediction at this time. I think from what I've seen in this last 7 minutes, they might play passively for the next year.
The next year of the LCS. The rest of the season. Let's see how that works out, though, because we did have a change up. We have Vi from Snoopy, so I'm expecting him to be a little bit more aggressive coming into the next few levels. He has got that Tear of the Goddess. Tear of the Goddess, I'm looking at Froggen. I don't know where the hell I pulled that one from. That's what I was thinking. He has got that Tear of the Goddess. When I said it, I was like,
no, that's
why has he got Tear of the Goddess?
Well, we're looking at the middle there now. Both champions having gone with the tiers, so they're going to start maxing, getting the mana as much as is possible. Bjergsen, I think, a little more mana dependent than that of Froggen, of course. Froggen's going to rely on those cooldowns for Lux, actually burning the final spark to farm already at this early stage in the game, and slowly creeping ahead. But again, we have to keep tabs on how far behind Bjergsen is, because you sort of expect to be behind with that champion.
Froggen's one of those people that will burn that final spark at every opportunity the second it's up. So we're going to see the next wave come in. I wouldn't be surprised he may try and use it to steal it away, which is exactly what he tried to do, just that slight second too late there. You can see the Pulverize coming down on towards the test, and the damage from Yellow Pete may be enough to burn down Deficio, force him away.
And that's a combo that I was talking about. Chain of Corruption is available. It's there. If it had been thrown out, they may have picked something up. But Krepo and Yellow Pete actually playing it quite defensive, a little bit passive. You can see Sven Skeren is now in this bottom lane and up in the top lane.
Top lane as well.
Jumped on as well.
They're diving in there. It's actually a Wicked taken down very low though, so Snoopy's going to try and put the damage down on him, and immediately you can see the bottom lane is backing off. The teleport coming in here. It was Bjergsen that was trying to go in there, and instead maybe that's going to give his position away, try and falsify the information. He's going to stick around down the bottom here. The Varus ultimate is going to get used, those shots fired, and Yellow Pete does defend this turret very nicely.
Absolutely nothing became of that. Yellow Pete just burned his ulti to defend the tower, hold off 4 members of the Copenhagen Wolves, and you can't ask for a better trade than that. They got the teleport. They got Bjergsen out of lane. You know, Froggen was allowed to push it up a little bit, and, you know, really good defensive play. Wicked did go very low, though. You know, if it wasn't for Snoopy's presence in the top lane, he may have gone down. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on in terms of how they're trading out for the rest of this game.
Well, something we can see is Sven Skeren starting off, and the Wolves going to try and take the Dragon, but you can see Evil Geniuses are starting to maneuver for this one. They want to get involved. Krepo's going to have Stan United coming in, manages to come in, headbutt Pulverize. It's going to get taken away, but Sven Skeren's going to go down. Can they pick up another kill off this one? Deficio very low, the exhaust down. He's going to try and walk away from this one, but you got to assume that Krepo's refreshed. He's going to be up in a moment. He's going to land another Pulverize any second now. There it is, and that's going to be the kill. Oh, you scumbag! He stole it away again, living up to his name.
Very, very good play from Evil Geniuses. 2 for 1 on the Dragon. You know, it starts to even out as far as the gold goes. It's around about 1,000 gold for your team by picking up that Drake. And, you know, 1 kill, that's fine. You can live with trading 1 for Drake, but 2, a bit questionable. One of the things that is good, exactly like you said, Scumbag Krepo got it. So the gold didn't go to a carry, but, you know, Alice is such a disruptive champion. You don't want to get him tankier or, you know, more of a utility, more survivability than he already has.
Well, even gold currently, just 100 switching between them. EG slightly in there. Of course, we saw Froggen there, very low hit points. He had an encounter with Bjergsen, so Bjergsen coming out on top of that one currently. Of course, if he can get in close, he will do a heck of a lot of damage to Froggen. Froggen has to land them combos.
Yeah, it's, you know, if Froggen can keep Bjergsen at bay, landing the skill shots at range, he's going to win that matchup. But the second Bjergsen gets very, very close with the Rift Walk and with, you know, the Null Sphere for the silence, he's got the advantage because it's actually very difficult to land those point-blank skill shots against such a high mobility champion like Cassidy.
Which you can see there, the combo, it burst him down half the hit points. All it was, simple Null Sphere, and oh, you know what, I can't remember the name of it. Force Pulse. Damn it. Damn it. I'm alongside Quickshot. I gotta know these things. How can I let that slide?
It's a good combo, and that's the entire thing against, you know, against these like caster-dependent champions like Lux, for example. As soon as she can't cast her spells, she's literally dead weight for those couple of seconds. She needs to wait, get to safety, and keep distance is one of the things that Froggen has, you know, to his credit, that it works so well with Lux. But Bjergsen, not being intimidated, not afraid of the legendary Froggen, and really giving it to him. But he is behind 20 CS, so, you know, even though he's trading well, he's falling behind in gold.
Yellow Pete farming down this LeBron line, like you say, trading well, but also the Tess has that advantage growing, 104 CS, only ever so slightly. He has the assist, of course, has that Bloodthirster already completed, which Yellow Pete doesn't quite have just yet. Sunfire Cape almost built by Bricked. Godbro, meanwhile, probably going for the exact same thing. Actually, no, it's going to be the Warmogs, I think, first. He's got that Rejuve bead in there already.
It does look like that's the case. Now, this is something in Copenhagen Wolves, you know, they've obviously decided this is our game plan. This is what we want to do.
Leave them on an island on top.
Yeah, you know, leave them on an island, but then everybody else is an island, although Godbro is going on Wicked. Once again, one of those longest, fat-oiled lady. I can't remember the reference you tried to get a few weeks ago. But, you know, it's a boring battle up top, and the Copenhagen Wolves, they're just farming. They're keeping up in farm, so credit to them. But it's a questionable decision when you think about how much coordination the team has, and it looks like the Test has been caught out.
Tries to go the headbutt, pulverized on towards the Test, but he managed to Arcane Shift. The stun still went in, of course, but he does manage to survive. And we see that Yellow Pete is still lingering. Can he catch him on a... Just one skill shot would be enough. Once that Arcane Shift is kind of burned, if you can catch the ulti on him, it would pin him down pretty well, but... It's pretty even lane so far. There's not a great deal between the two.
Yeah, they've been trading back and forth. It's just a farm fest at the moment. Neither team really willing to commit themselves into something that could cost them, you know, a lane. And any one of these champions can just snowball so heavily if you give them the chance to. So Copenhagen Wolves, they're playing it safe. They're playing it defensive. You can see Froggen just hiding away just out of vision from Bjergsen, about to land the invisible skill shot if he decides to throw it out. Does go out, and it does catch.
Again, of course it catches. I mean, this is the man that can land every single Anivia shot. The speedy shots from Lux is very easy.
It's just Twisted Fate Ultimates he has a problem with every now and again.
Yeah, just clicking off the map. Bjergsen's going to come in, pick up that blue buff, shifts across, Riff walks over, and thank you very much, Sven Skedden. So, 1 minute 50 until that dragon pops up. That's when we're expecting to see the action start to build up. Godbro doing a very good job in this top lane still. Meanwhile, down the bottom, I'm just thinking, late game, is Taric going to be a better champion than maybe Alistar? Or is it simply going to be about, I mean, obviously his ultimate's going to add the armor, but the maneuverability, the crowd control that you get with a cow can be pretty fierce. We've seen Afromu doing some amazing plays already this weekend.
Yeah, you can't negate the power that Shatter's going to have. I think it's around about 30 armor at max rank, if I recall correctly, for his entire team. And against a Varus and a Vi who deal so much physical damage, it's really going to help out the squishy Ezreal and Kassadin. The damage buff that is his auras are going to give it very potent, but what it ends up meaning is that Taric is just an aura machine. You know, that's all his role really is: stun somebody, provide auras, and let's hope we kill that somebody before the rest of Evil Geniuses dive on, because their overall team firepower is a bit stronger at this stage.
Well, we do see a two-man push in this top. We also have Bjergsen going across, but immediately catching him out is going to be Wicked, and Snoopy's going to try and catch across. Is he going to dash? No, he's not. They're going to give up on that top turret, and it is going to be the first turret of the game going to Wolves. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, if I keep referring to it as a weekend. I do work in esports now, so every day is a weekend for me.
Yeah, that's just bragging. That's just bragging. And of course, it's a super weekend. You know, we had Super Wednesday over in
It's a
NA.
super week.
And it's just so
Wednesday,
super.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is all League of Legends Championship Series day.
Evil Geniuses even up the towers. They're going to carry on with the pressure, and with the auto attack damage from Snoopy right now, that pickaxe in his back pocket, as well as Crepo now Yellow Pete joining the party. This is going to be an inner turret for free, and this is what Evil Geniuses do so incredibly well. The way, oh look, you're out of position, you're far away, we just take that turret for free.
Like you mentioned, the tactical maneuvering is just fantastic. Oh, and another catch, and now they can turn it. And Svenskeren, no, he's got away with it. It's Bjergsen they've gone for, though. They do manage to drop him down. Bjergsen got away with Svenskeren got away with absolutely nothing, and they can't catch him down. But as you were just pertaining to, Evil Geniuses, they are such gods at tactical maneuvering. If somebody gives them a little bit of a sniff at the mid lane, they will pile up it before you realize.
You know, we had the quote a little while ago about Gambit. If you give them a finger, they'll take an arm. Godbro just
16-minute inhibitor turret. They are pushing straight through here, and they could continue through. There's going to be the pulverize down there. The damage on towards Snoopy is pretty fierce, though, and Wicked doing a good defensive job. That shield, of course, coming out from Froggen. They're going to keep them back away. They have a lot of disengage, of course, with the Lux. Oh, and he tries to take down the Tess. Hasn't quite got enough, but you're already seeing the early danger signs from Froggen.
Well, that's the Tess almost going down from just a Morella Nomicon. Now, that is sort of the item that's almost replaced Athene's Unholy Grail in terms of mana regen, cooldown reduction, etc. And once there's a little bit more ability power, or maybe even just Sorcerer's Boots picked up, there might be enough damage just with a full combo and an auto attack to take down the Tess. And we've seen how powerful those Lux snipes can be. Shushay just last weekend managing to, land the double binding that almost won, you could say, won them the game.
It did win them the game.
Yeah.
It completely turned it. It's what they were aiming for as well, and it's what they were waiting for. But, talking to Dragon Balls after the game, they said, well, that's what you do with Lux. You've just got to wait for that moment to catch them. EG don't seem to wait for that moment. They just continue and create that moment.
The thing that's awesome, which you just mentioned, that previous team fight, the entire reason that it got set up was Svenskeren actually managed to catch Snoopy out of position.
It was the push on top,
and Svenskeren was poking on Snoopy around where Ezreal is right now on the map, towards that red bush grass, red buff grass, rather. And as they were putting some damage down, you could just see the Bjergsen, he dove in with Riftwalk, and Froggen said, oh, thank you very much. You two are lining up beautifully. There's no creeps on that side of the jungle, so I'll just land a light binding and destroy your HP bars.
Well, to coin a phrase from the other top esports game out there, StarCraft right now, this is effectively real-time chess. It's what they do, the tactical maneuvering of getting each other in position. If this is happening up here, is a simple theory in StarCraft is, if you're seeing this army up here, what is happening on the other side of the map? And that seems to be really what's coming into League of Legends lately, because every time there's a chance somewhere, one of the top teams will be pushing you in another direction.
That's the entire difference between the teams that are winning games consistently and the teams that are losing games consistently. Everybody at this level has got the mechanical skill, has got the game knowledge, has the ability to play the matchups and the champions, but not everybody sees inherently the map decisions. You know, every time we were sitting and talking with Krepo, with Hosan, with PekK, and with Aranea, they're pointing out, look at this, why didn't they go for blue? That dragon's available. And it's just because the minions are all of a sudden 5 centimeters further than, you know, where they should be. So that means XYZ. You know, that whole snowball factor comes into play. And it's what Copenhagen Wolves and the rest of the teams at the LCS will need to start learning, you know, intrinsically, naturally, to be able to compete.
You know what's interesting for me? I'm going to be interested to see when the Oracle gets picked up, because we had Krepo in here, like you say, last week, and every single time you see these opportunities, these chances, the tactical advantage they've gained across the map. Right now he'd be going, okay, so time to pick up Oracle. The question is, have they been spotting, have they been counting how many wards that maybe Copenhagen Wolves have been putting out there and just realizing it may not be worth it? Krepo nearly catching out Bjergsen there. Like you say, good silence, realized that the danger was coming and had to get straight away from there. Of course, that mid lane wide open with the inhibitor.
And take a look at this. Godbro's trying to get there, but he's not going to get there in time. Wicked is in there without even using Stand United just yet. They're going to apply pressure on this inhibitor. If you want it, you can hear the fallback ping just saying, nope, do not want this fight. We're not comfortable with this engagement. And they shouldn't be. They're only, 1,500 gold behind.
They caught him. It was, Sven Skeren. They caught in a combo there, but he wasn't quite obliterated. Froggen didn't pull the trigger. He keeps trying to throw out those invisible light bindings to try and catch someone out, but it's not happening so far, and they will back off. But as they do that, they take everything from the jungle.
Yeah, take the raid camp, take the double golems, just take every buff that's available. They've started to put some wards down in the enemy jungle, so I would expect Krepo to pick up that Oracle's Elixir relatively soon. And you'd have to think that the same needs to be done from the Copenhagen Wolves. They're down to 3-1 in terms of kills. They're down in terms of map control, 4 towers to 1. But it's a small amount of gold. It's only 1,500. The question is, with a team that's 0-8, with a team that's, the pressure's on them, will they realize or have the presence of mind to go, we're not actually that far behind?
Well, we're going to see Bjergsen down the bottom in a moment, of course. He has got teleport. Deficio caught out. The Varus ultimate immediately got out of it. Very well played.
Interesting Varus ultimate there from Yellow Pete. I wonder if they threw that before they had full vision, maybe anticipating the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves.
Was that just too short range? I didn't see why that didn't catch on.
No, it did catch, but he just managed to get away.
During it.
Yeah, exactly. Just managed to get away immediately. But the thing is, it was a smart play from Yellow Pete, anticipating maybe the Wolves are all camping there as a 3, 4, 5-man team waiting for that surprise gank. But, it was an ultimate wasted, effectively, although they did get the flash from Tarek.
Well, it's a pretty quick ultimate as well. You can see it's already on, two-thirds of the cooldown remaining, so it's already zipping straight through. Yeah, it's a pretty damn quick one. We are seeing, of course, the split pushing, Brickit down the bottom lane, just working his way through, building up towards that. Warmogs, of course, is going to be the next item for him. Meanwhile, it is going to be looking like a Randian's possibly going to come out from Snoopy, so building that armor as well across the field.
And, with the team they're coming up against, Renekton, Xin Zhao and Ezreal, it's the perfect item. Slow the movement speed, slow their attack speed, reduce any sort of damage that they can put down. And, of course, Vi, I don't think there's a better champion to get to the back line, because once she locks on, once she's honed in with that ultimate, there's literally nothing you can do. It will land, which means you've got a guaranteed Randian's Omen proc on 3, 4, 5 members.
So the farming continues. Froggen 179 to 148 CS. Bjergsen kind of trying to be the split pusher to counter Wicked at the moment, but honestly, how does that one work out? I mean, I don't see a great deal of damage going to be done to Wicked. He has got a lot of hit points. Not a great deal of magic resist in there, but Bjergsen doesn't have the burst to really finish off Wicked at all. I mean, he's going to do his combo and then go and then sort of walk away.
Yeah, look, he's got a Rod of Ages right now, so it's not enough to actually turn the tides of a fight. And I think they would need to send one of their bruisers there, Renekton or Xin Zhao, to deal with him, because simply put, they need Kassadin. And there's the oracles like we're talking about.
Krepo sort of you're not going to go near my pink ward. He talked about the pink ward fight before. He's like, Yellow Pete, there's a pink ward. They're going to try and take my ward.
What a slice! He got himself out of range with the slice. The reaction time on that. Okay, if you start to recall in a bush, don't open the shop immediately. This is a public service announcement, because if he was looking at the shop, he would not have seen the skill shot. But really good reaction time from Godbro.
Does manage to avoid the damage, and we are seeing Krepo with an Oracle. You know what? He's a man of his word.
Yeah.
He's a man of his word. Every time around about 20-minute mark, he was saying they have the map advantage. Why have they not bought an Oracle? He's going to buy an Oracle. And this is from the handbook of Krepo, I guess you could say. And it seems to be how it works out.
It also depends on the situation. Even though it was 20 minutes, I think
it's more the positional advantage on the map. That's what I was talking about.
Because they're so deep at the moment. EG. They don't care. They don't give a monkeys about what the Copenhagen Wolves are doing. They're just running around in their jungle, taking every buff they want. They're taking Dragon uncontested. And even though the Copenhagen Wolves are behind, they feel like this gap is bigger. They're actually very, very close in gold. If they pick the fight that was the right fight, they could probably win it because EG are not so far ahead.
Well, Froggen, of course, only has that combo, and once he's used that burst combo, he's got to wait. He's got to wait for the cooldown. So if they can maybe try and keep the blue away from him, which is not going to happen because it's about to be given back to him one more time, we are seeing also the Dragon being taken away. So, like you mentioned, EG, despite the fact they have, well, actually, it's a 4K gold difference.
Yeah, now it's growing. Now it's becoming bigger.
No, Bjergsen, well, he's going to be very hard to pin down. He has flash, and of course, he has that rift walk, which he might try and do. Tries to rift walk away. Awesome they do the ward there, and they do manage to flash out of the ulti once again.
Really well played. There's something that I've been looking at that, it caught my eye from Genja earlier in the day, the Avarice blade that's been picked up.
Yes.
Now, we touched on that earlier. I think he died first blood or, died relatively early. Got that, generates the gold, gives you extra gold on each creep that you kill or, last hit that you secure. It has been upgraded to the static shift, but on Genja, it sat there for a while. It sat for a long, long time. And I'm wondering if it's something that they're starting to do a little bit more of. I mean, that was sitting there for ages. You tend to see them picking up the Zeal first and then upgrading it to the static. And I think maybe just cottoning on to the fact that you can get gold quicker if you get the...
Are you suggesting it's the new Heart of Gold?
I don't... No, not the new Heart of Gold, but just, it's just a slight change. We tended to see the Zeal for the attack speed, the movement speed, the crit over the Avarice. And just today, I've noticed the Avarice being picked up first from AD.
It's just dawned on me, if we start to see a lot more Thresh support, maybe it will become the new Heart of Gold. The AD supports are going to start striking down that bottom lane, who knows. But as it is, we have been seeing a lot of Brandon, Annie
and Brand
from EG in that duo queue.
All around the world.
So, Copenhagen Wolves are falling slowly but surely behind the Evil Geniuses here. It's kind of what everybody expects, and without being... Brilliant steal, but is he going to pay for it with his life? Can he rift walk away? No, he's just so crowd controlled there, just bounced, poked, beaten up, and absolutely pulverized. That was more of a case of how dare you take away the blue buff.
Without having flash, that was extremely overconfident, and fair play by Bjergsen. You need to make some plays in order to stay in the game, but I think that was a poor decision. He got in, immediately got knocked back and knocked up. Exactly like you said, pulverized, and easy kill for Evil Geniuses to take the next inner turret.
Well, Froggen, he's going to put the ward out. Lightbind is not going to land, though. But as I was saying, without trying to sound like I am being a little bit too biased towards EG, this is a fact. They are currently up there, second place, and as it is, the Wolves are 0-8 and really up against it here. They have such a hard super weekend. The laser's going to come out, but it's not going to land. They have such a hard super weekend because they have EG, they have Gambit, they have SK, and it's starting off very unlikely that they're going to pick up the win. It's going to be Svenskeren and caught out there. We're going to get dive in. Shadow Dash comes from Wicked, and that is going to be the inhibitor going on. The first one is going to go down. The second one will follow any second now. It's 5-1 still, a low score kill count, but it's expected. It's a low kill count, and well, it's just driving slowly but surely, clawing out the victory.
That previous team fight under the turret, exactly what I've been talking about for so long. Copenhagen Wolves, they took so much damage. They ate ultimate after ultimate after ultimate and didn't die, but they didn't do anything either. They were...
Oh, there was a wave down. I was like, where are you aiming? What are you doing?
And the Copenhagen Wolves, they were reacting to what EG was doing instead of trying to be proactive and create a situation that they could make plays happen. So Evil Geniuses pick up 2 inhibitors. It's just complete on hold and complete map control now. The Copenhagen Wolves, they'll get the extra farm, but you just have to feel it's just a matter of time till EG decide, right, now we want to pick a fight for us.
Well, 5-1, 7-1 in turret. It's a big, big lead for the Evil Geniuses. And the Copenhagen Wolves have their work seriously cut out here. I don't know what they can do to turn this around. Whether there's going to be some huge mistake to be made by Evil Geniuses. And honestly, even now, I think like Aranea said, maybe they just need to go and unplug someone's computer.
I think that's against the rules. Don't quote me on it though, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Accidental trips happen.
The thing with the Wolves, Defisio does have that Oracle's Elixir. Yeah, he's still running the Oracle's Elixir, so he has the ability to clear out the wards, which means they have the ability to catch somebody. But now the position with the super minions, pushing every single lane, they have to catch multiple people multiple times to pull themselves back into it because they are so vulnerable at home.
So it's looking like EG actually are going to try and maybe stack up for Baron, which surprises me. I'm not sure they need to force the Baron fight. Maybe this is just a case of saying we're going to try and pull the Wolves out of their lair.
And the super creeps will just keep pushing the lanes. So I like that one. Keep them on the, keep them fighting, keep them delayed. Keep picking battles over and over and over, and the test might get caught.
He might. The Arcane shifts away. Snoopy tried to close him down. Instead, didn't bother using that assault and battery on towards him. Instead, they'll take a turret, no problem, and continue pushing to this one final turret up the top here. The inhibitor left, tutorial style from Evil Geniuses. It's how they do it, and it's working out wonderfully once again as they poke on towards that final inhibitor. The Wolves realize they have to fight for this one.
It's last-ditch effort now. There are super creeps on the Nexus turrets. There's another couple coming in from the bottom lane as well. So there's so many minions there. They're starting to split up a little bit. And at some point in the not-too-distant future, the Wolves are going to need to send one of the PekK to deal with that. And at the moment that happens, Evil Genius is just going to collapse on the final inhib.
Touche, touche. I like that one.
I see you and I raise you, sir.
It is going to be Godbro going in there, but immediately the test caught out. They couldn't quite catch him. Assault and battery from Snoopy. That is against the rules, ladies and gentlemen. You can't beat someone up that bad, but it is going to be wicked. Oh, and Froggen takes down Defisio as well. Bjergsen, well, he's going to walk away. They can't catch him down. He doesn't need pursuing. Tell you what, though, he could come back and take down Yellow Pete. Instead, they're going to go in towards, and that's going to be the inhibitor going down, and surely the Nexus turrets will follow. Evil Geniuses, they have been known to back out of this situation before, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go again. And Bjergsen does manage to get in and get that combo down, but he's going to walk away from this one ever so closely. Can they pick up some more kills? They take down Crepo. Snoopy's very low as well. Svenskeren's going to get the charge back up in a moment. The shield comes out. Oh, and a brilliant, brilliant light binding. But Snoopy does go down to Bjergsen. Now Godbro takes it onto Wicked. I'm not sure that could work, actually. He's got a hell of a lot of hit points. Instead, they're going to go towards Froggen. Trisha Barrage not going to land. He does manage to land a light binding down on towards Bjergsen, and surely he will take him down eventually.
Up in a second.
He's going to turn around. He's onto his laser. Oh, it was going off. It was there. It was firing. Fires the laser. Did not work. Bjergsen managed to turn him around.
The Death Star was blown up before the charge could complete. And Copenhagen Wolves, they defend their Nexus turrets. This is something that we heard from Snoopy. We heard from Evil Geniuses a couple of weeks ago saying how if they try to push, like that final fight, they go, let's take it now, let's take it now. They've thrown games in the past. I feel like the Copenhagen Wolves are too far behind for it to happen. But if it does, that's the moment that changed it. That's the moment that threw it away. And I'm firing the laser, not managing to get it out that time.
The thing is, Evil Genius was, in an ordinary situation, would have backed out of that. They wouldn't have gone for the Nexus turrets there. They would normally go, well, we've got inhibitors, we may as well just go back and fight, because what's the point in risking it?
I think as well, there's a lot of pressure on them. They've been in control of the game the entire time. The Wolves haven't challenged them at all, really. They haven't picked fights. So EG may have just become a victim of the circumstances right now and went, okay, well, we're really far ahead. We got all inhibs, so let's just go for the all kill of the win.
So Skaren's just stepping a little too close, and the wards making the Baron attack him there, which pokes him back. EG are going to go back in towards Baron again. The ward's out there. Let's see whether anyone can get involved. They don't have the massive hooks to come out that we did see earlier on from Edward. And that is going to be the turret, going down. That's the Nexus turret gone down, by the way.
Yep,
to minions there. And now we do see again.
Try steal.
They're going to try and steal, but that's going to be so ballsy play. Oh, wow. True Shot Barrage going across is still hanging off. It's Svenska, and he's just off the side here. They're going to go straight towards him. Can he flash back in? Can he try and go in? Yes, he will. He's going to flash back in there. He's not low enough, though. He's knocked them out of the pit, but immediately got caught out. Assault of battery. The final spark comes through. He's still trying to get the steal in to his last breath, but it wasn't quite enough. And Snoopy does get the Baron.
Svenska deserves a naughty badge for that ultimate because it was so good. Knocked everybody out of the pit. I was losing it when Zinzals were doing that in the Jarvan ultimates, getting everybody out of the Cataclysm. It just looks so good when that ultimate takes place. But with, you know, with him being down, with the inhibitors exposed, super creeps, there's no turrets even left on the game. It's just a matter of time before EG close this out.
So EG are now on towards the Nexus, and the Nexus turrets are all down. It's a 5-man Baron up. Evil Geniuses, you've got to expect them to close this one out, and they'll do just that. It's 8-5 in kills, not the highest scoring game, but it's a fast game nonetheless for Evil Geniuses. 33 minutes, 33 seconds. Is that a record for Evil Geniuses? I may well be. We're going to get over to the analysis desk, ladies and gentlemen, and see what they thought of that one. A speedy Evil Genius game.
Speedy indeed, and to be honest with you, Aaron, we've had a hard time picking out replays and even the MVP for this one because EG were just so flawless throughout it. It was like a demolition, but without any real massive highlights. Do you know what I mean? I'm having a hard time of actually getting my words out. I think the word is pretty much boring. They did what they had a plan, they executed it, and they won the game.
Yeah, I think it was a not really interesting game. I mean, it was just a push game, like get towers, get objectives, and just win. I think the only one who had the most fun of this game was Demon, jailing the lasers at that time. Was the one having the most fun, but for us it was like, I don't know, we didn't have a good decision for the MVP and the replay.
Well, I mean, the Wolves, they started off pretty strong. They fortunately did get first blood at the bot lane onto Crepo, and they got that first top tower, but just from there, it kind of just seemed to go downhill as EG just, it's like, all right, well, they did this, let's counter with that, and it just completely worked for them.
Yeah, well, we did manage to pick out a replay after all in the end of that one. So why don't you two run us through it?
All right, well, it's 2-1, 15.5 minutes in. The gold, it's only 1,000 difference, 20,000.1 to 21.1K. So we'll just go ahead and get you into the game. And Arne, you can kind of walk us through it because it pretty much was a huge snowball and kind of a big misstep by the Wolves.
Well, I think it was just right after Kassadin went back, EG decided to start pushing mid lane. And we can see, like, they get the mid tower. And what they think, we see like Alistar and Varus, Yellow Pit and Creeper coming mid lane, and no one from Copenhagen Wolves stopped that. It was only Kassadin there, Renekton was going there, but it's too late to get it. Edriel Taric were completely late, and this point is the experience of EG, when they realize they can keep pushing, and now it's a really big mistake by Svenska that pulled Kassadin into that Lux combo, and now it's Vi and Sen getting Kassadin. They kill Kassadin now, and then after this, they will keep pushing mid lane, and they get a total of 3 towers and 1 kill from this. They don't get, they didn't end the inhibitor, even that in the replay, inhibitor is almost dead.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a thing.
Buggy, but they get 3 towers and 1 kill from that push.
And that all stemmed from, you know, having, was it 2 members in the top lane, Renekton and Zinzao both in the top lane pushing that lane, and then EG's like, hey, if you're going to send 2 up there, you're going to have your 80 carry support bot lane, why not just push mid and take turrets, which, you know, Joe, you always point out, you know, ditching that mid turret, it's usually after when you take an enemy's mid turret, but you can't leave that alone because it's such a lot of map control that you're losing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a big misplay from Wolves. They had 2 guys on the top side of the map. They weren't really defending that middle turret, and once you lose 1, and then you've got to take that time to recall, get back to base, and then get back out there. You've lost 2 turrets by that time that happens. I mean, and I'll bring this up right now. We did actually give the MVP over to Yellow Pete, who had a great game. Actually, as I said, it was really hard to call that one because EG were pretty much flawless. But Yellow Pete there, we saw in that little replay, his ultimate actually really tied up that kill onto Kassadin there, and they almost got Zinzao as well.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, there was a couple of missed ultimates, but it didn't matter in the end because it's not about the one. Well, sometimes it is about the ones you miss, but it's always about the ones you hit when you do win a game.
Yeah, I think it's about like this combo is about like Lux get someone with a Q, and then instantly Varus keep on with the ultimate, and then Vi and Sen go in, and Alistar as well. So it's like really full combo only when Lux get a single Q. It's a really nice combo. EG played there.
it's like pretty much just bend over and take it if you ever get hit by a light binding right there, and he just showed it.
And we know that Froggen is going to hit all the skill shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that one. But yeah, that's it for this game. Obviously, we have a lot more to come up here today, but first of all, we're going to head over to the main stage where Shox is with one of the winners.
Thank you. I'm here with Froggen. Froggen, was that as easy as it looked from here?
It was easier than our scrims yesterday.
How do you go into a game versus the Wolves? Do you see it just as a routine game?
Before the matches, we will look at what the possibility of our picks are, what we will possibly get, and what we will do if we get those picks. For example, we knew Bjergsen has been playing a lot of locks, and he's been picking it early, so we just wanted to secure locks after we picked Vi, and it worked out pretty well.
So you're not taking any chances, really preparing for every match?
Yep.
Before the match, we saw the Copenhagen Wolves were training, testing out, doing some strategies maybe, and you guys came in and you just played your game. Is that because you're just that experienced that this is starting to get a little easy for you?
No, not at all. Yesterday we got stumped in every single scrim we played, so we just gave up on scrimming.
Okay, and how was your experience personally in that mid lane?
I expected Xin Xiao to gank a lot more in mid lane, because else I can just push and win the matchup that way. So I tried to not push as much as I normally would, and that resulted in him getting a bit more CS, but it worked out overall pretty good.
Obviously, you're considered one of the best mids in the world, so I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Alex. How do you feel that the mid lane is, you know, going through an evolution with champions that are picked more?
I think bruisers are really good sometimes. Normally you would pick a bruiser if you're against an AP champion that can only stack magic damage to actually do something that doesn't have a high base damage. That would be good to play boosters against, and I kind of like that because it makes some of the picks very risky.
Okay, now later you're going up against Gambit. Anticipated match. Last time around you stomped them. They've gotten better over the weekends. How do you feel going into that one?
I feel pretty good. I think we've always been doing very good against Gambit in offline tournaments, so I feel pretty confident going into this.
You gonna give us an action-packed match?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you anyway. Okay, thank you, Froggen. I'm going to go into a short break. I'd like to remind you of our Twitter question. What do you expect from the rest of this super weekend? As always, tweet at LOL eSports, #LCS. After the break is Giants going up against SK Gaming. Let's see if the Giants or SK Gaming can rack up another victory.